at my house. So, this is my 1973 Chevy Nova, also known as the Bladehenge Nova. Let's see, I have notes because it's the first time doing it, so I'm gonna give me a break, okay? So yeah, this is Bladehenge Nova. Bladehenge Nova comes from like the old school like hot rod, well, street rod drag racer thing where like back in the 70s, like some of the cars they would have like funny names like one was called Grumpy, drag racing cars. One was called Grumpy, one was called like the fucking, like I just made this one up right now, but the Cha-Cha Nova, they had shit like that. So Bladehenge Nova, I thought it was cool. A game that's very inspirational to me is Brew Legend. So in that game, Brew Legend is a place that the main character and his clan are from, I guess you could say. So Bladehenge is where they're from, so I just decided, hey, Bladehenge Nova, I think it's a good idea. Plus, yeah, two things I love, Bladehenge Nova, sounded good, why not? So yeah, Bladehenge Nova, and then, yeah, so I didn't get the car, but the car has been in my family for, I don't even know, a long time. And for 16 years, it was sitting in that garage, right there, just rotting away. Well, she was in better condition than she's in now, but fuck it. But yeah, she was chilling in there. Me and a friend of mine he helped me get her out. Had to do a battery, had to do a couple fuses to get her kind of going. And brought her out, freshened everything up, did spark plugs, oil, coolant, air filter, because the thing looks like hell after 16 years, probably more storage. But who knows, maybe it could have been like the filter from like the 90s or some shit, I don't fucking know. So yeah, got her out, drove her around. She ran a little funny, so I kind of tuned up the carburetor a little bit, did a rebuild. She still had the 2-barrel carburetor. Not a lot of people have the 2-barrel carburetor, so I still have it too. I have that in the intake, and I won't get rid of it because that's her stock parts, like a little memento from where she came from. But with that being said, forgot to mention, most important thing is she is a 307, still a 307, and she's a pretty hot 307. I've been able to get her up to 130, but easily 120 as of recent, but we'll get into that right now. But going back, so yeah, rebuild the car. She ran okay, wasn't amazing or anything. I replaced some other components like spark plug wires, distributor cap, and a cap and rotor. Excuse me. Yeah, not the fucking coil. She's not running a coil. She's running the HEI, which my dad did years ago. He did that and a brake booster. So got power brakes, HEI distributor, so she runs a little bit better. I don't have to deal with the fucking coil. Fuck that. But yeah, so after that, kind of ran her around, and then at some point she had blown a head gasket. I had to drive to Compton to drop off my brother, and the day before I had done the alternator, and when I did the alternator, my dad was like, oh, make sure you don't tighten it that tight, or else you could break I think he said you could break like the component for the alternator. I was like, okay, so I didn't. So I drive to Compton, and when I get off the freeway, I see all this fucking smoke coming out from the engine. Like, it came off the sides, it came out the fucking back of the hood. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know shit at that time, so I was like, okay, so I drop my brother off at his job. I go inside, they have like a tool set. I buy the tool set, I throw the distributor back up, crank the shit out of it down, and drove it back home like that. With that being said, as soon as I got home, well, not even as soon as I got home, when I was on the freeway about to get off to go to my house, she lost all power, and I was stuck on the side of the freeway for like 40 minutes. Then I got towed back, and that's when my dad told me, he's like, oh, hey, you blew the head gaskets. I was like, shit, okay. So at that time, I thought it was a big fucking deal. I was like, damn. I blew the fucking head gaskets. I looked it up. I was like, man, it's gonna cost me like $200. I didn't have a good job at that time. I was like, it's gonna cost me like $200. I was like freaking out. I was like, goddamn, like this is gonna fucking suck. Heads get sent out to get fucking touched up just to make sure they're fine. Get new head gaskets, throw it back together. Ran like nothing had ever happened. So after that, drove a little more. Then going back to the head gasket thing. So when we reinstalled the heads were fine. What we really didn't kind of go back into was the valve cover gaskets. I had threw them on, and it leaked. I threw valve cover gaskets on, and they leaked. It was the cork ones. And my dad was like, "Oh, we'll put glue on it so it won't leak." And I'm like, "Okay." So that never happened, and she developed a really bad rod knock because my dumbass would forget to check the oil. So yeah, she developed rod knock because she spun a bearing, and I took the engine out. Rebuilt it, so she's got all new components on the inside, new crank, connecting rods, pistons, piston rings, everything that could be new is new except the main caps. Those are still stock. I think you could get new ones. I'm not sure. But so I did basically a rebuild, but I threw in a hotter cam. So I think the original cam is like a 390 lift and 390 and 410 lift at like 230 duration, something like that. That was a stock cam. And plus the stock cam in these were fucking terrible. They would pretty much wear out within like 5,000 miles. So that cam was done. Like that cam was no good. So I put in a new cam from Comp Cams. It's a let's see here. It's a 440 lift with 260 duration. So it's a little bit better at 110 degrees of lobe separation. It's a pretty good cam for a 307. So yeah, got a new cam. I poured and polished the heads because I was like, I'm already there, why not? So she's got that. And then the little cherry on top was a 4-barrel carburetor, which, remember, this thing had a 2-barrel. 4-barrel carburetor off of it was supposed to be a 350 engine, or it was supposed to be a 350 out of a Blazer. When we checked out like the carburetor and everything, like I looked up all the information. It said that that's what it came off of because it was a stock Rochester Quadrajet. So it was like an 850 CFM. So I threw it on and it ran fucking terribly. So I threw on. So it was the carburetor with the intake, and then and that was kind of it. That was kind of it for a little while, and then. Yeah, we got her up and running. She drove fine. Alrighty, sorry about that. Dad came home, so where were we? Yeah, so yeah, I rebuilt the engine, new carburetor, new intake, new cam, ported and polished the heads. That was kind of it. I think I did like a couple of things here and there, like, well, I mean, things you had to do, new lifters, push rods. I don't think I did new rocker arms. I left that stock. So yeah, that was it. I threw the engine back in and got her running again. She was a lot faster than stock, but still felt a little off. Especially because that fucking 850 CFM carburetor was way too big. So one of the first things I did was like an actual mod besides the cam, was to get a carburetor. So instead of the Quadrajet, I was like, okay, I'll get like a 650 CFM Holly, which I think the Holly I have now is the same one. I think it's a Street Warrior carburetor, which is like the one you could get at O'Reilly's. They're like $300. You can find them anywhere. So I threw that on. It ran a little better, but I noticed that the secondaries wouldn't engage. So I hit up a friend of mine. He's like, oh yeah, I think I know who I could take it to. We ended up going to his uncle, and he's been working on like carbureted engines like for a long time. He's a mechanic, so obviously, and he's been a mechanic for a long time. So I took it to him, and he pretty much was like, okay, so right now you have it on full vacuum. So what we're gonna put it on like quarter vacuum. So we did that, and he's like, all right, take it out, see how you like it. I took it on the street. Holy shit, that was the first time I felt real power out of a 307. Out of a 307 too. I was like, dude, this is fucking cool. Like, this is fucking insane. Like, I've never felt this before. Never. Not with the 2-barrel, nothing. So, yeah, here I am with, you know, a little hot 307. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. And I would still have some guys, like, trying to race me too. Like, here and there, you know, like, they would hear me, they would see me because, you know, it's a muscle car. It's a Nova. You know, these kids, they see cars like that, they're like, oh, let me try to race it. So, but yeah. So yeah, after the carburetor, I was still running the stock intake. So I bought a Wyand. So I think that's the thing. Both of them are Warrior lines, which is annoying as fuck. So people will ask me like, what do you have? And I always mix up the two. So one is a Speed Warrior, one's a Street Warrior. I think the intake is a Speed Warrior. I don't know. I'll try to update the info as soon as I get it. Or if I open the fucking hood, you'll see it, because it says it right there. But I'm pretty sure it's a Speed Warrior intake, a Street Warrior carburetor. So yeah, the intake is from Wyand. Like I said, it's a Speed Warrior intake. Wasn't that expensive. It was way cheaper than the Edelbrock, which Edelbrock makes good stuff, but just not a fan. Never really have been. Especially their carburetors, don't like them. They make some pretty decent heads. I hear great stuff about the intakes, but not interested. So yeah, I did the intake. That made a big fucking difference too. And I was like, okay, we're getting there. You know, I'm getting pretty fast. So after that, I was like, what else do I need? I went to a meet with a buddy of mine, a car meet, and they had Miatas, which I'm cool with Miatas and like all that stuff. I don't really care. But I pulled up with them, and they were like doing all this like hot stuff. And I was there trying to, you know, do stuff too. But they told me like, oh hey, do a pull, and I did a pull. At first it sounds good, but they're like, yeah, as soon as like you're like gone, like we can't hear you. With that being said, that kind of goes into the next thing I did, which is my exhaust. I did a full exhaust system. So it's got Summit Racing headers and a fully custom exhaust. But the custom exhaust, it consists of full FX, full master full FX mufflers, well, resonators, because that's really what they are, into an X pipe that I got from, I think, Cherry Bomb, which, well, I'll get into that right now. So yeah, I did muffler, X pipe, and then it X's out into side exits, which you can't see it, but it has side exits. So yeah, that was the setup. Turns out those heads, or the headers that I bought were bent for the flange. So you'll hear like a loud like knocking, and that's the header leak. It's got like a pretty bad bend in it. I didn't notice at first when I bought them. It wasn't until I put them on the car like 5 months after I had bought the fucking headers that I realized, and I was like, well, shit. You know, what can I do? So I still ran it. It made a big difference. I'll tell you that. Like, doing the whole exhaust system, it made a major difference. Like, even with that leak, she was still fast as shit. Like, at this point, she was fast and really fucking loud. Like, the loudest, I think this is probably the loudest car in the city. Well, in this small city. But, yeah. So now she's fast, she's loud. But I need a little more. Need a little bit more. So I went ahead and did the suspension because I needed suspension pretty bad. So I did suspension. The front, it's Bilstein shocks, Moog springs. I think that's kind of it. It's got poly bushings and stuff. I think the bushings are from Moog as well. I have a sway bar from QA1, but I never installed it. Never really did. I still have it. I might. We'll see. But yeah, so I did the front suspension, the rear suspension, which I could also talk about that same buddy that was kind of helping me out. He mentioned, he like, hey, like, I have a rear end I could sell you, because I still had the stock rear end, which was like a 275 or 273, something like that, which that's a highway flyer gear. So on the freeway, I would be cruising at 80 miles per hour, which is pretty nice. It was pretty cool, not gonna lie. But then, like, if I wanted to actually, like, have fun, it was okay. It was alright. So what I ended up doing, well, with my buddy, he had the rear end, so we swapped it out, but it also came with springs, which is fucking good. So it came with springs, and then I did poly bushings again. I don't know who made them, though. They're there. They're there. So it has poly bushings. The rear shocks, though, are Gabriel air jacker shocks. I think that's what they're called. It's like a super old school like setup. That's what the guys used to use back then to have an adjustable suspension, just like air out one, like 20 psi, and then the other one leave whatever, or as is, and that's your form of adjustability. So that's what I'm running right now. And then in the front, I'm running. Well, the shoes, I guess you could say, are. Hopefully you can see them. I don't think you can though. They're BF Goodrich radial Trans Am fucking wheels, or like the classic muscle car wheel or tire, which is like has a white layering on the side, so it looks good. And then my rims or wheels, people get all finicky about that shit. The wheels are Krager GTs. Yeah, so it's supposed to be the SS, but the SS is aluminum with the steel insert. This is all aluminum. So I have the BF Goodrich with Krager GTs on all fours, which I want to change pretty soon because I don't like 15s in the front. That's me personally. But yeah, the interior is still fucking stock. Just, I don't know. Like, to me, what matters is like under here and everything else. Like, I need brakes. That's another thing I did. I did brakes. So I have disc in the front, which it had drums on all fours, but now I had disc in the front. No, it didn't make a big difference. I was saying it's okay. I'm like, no, it made a massive difference. Like, before it was like I would have to stop like at least like start stopping like 60 feet. Now I could almost stop on a dime. Almost. It's just because I never changed the master cylinder. So it's running an all drum master cylinder right now, which I am almost positive that's not good. But it stops. It stops right now. So it works. So that's kind of it. But I think as far as mods go, another one I did, I'll talk about this kind of quick because kind of going on and on here. I also did a radiator. So I had the stock radiator still, but I kept having, like, once I got the car running again, I noticed I started having like overheating issues. So like the first thing I did was like, okay, let me buy an aluminum radiator. So I bought like one off of Summit Racing. It works. It did the job. But then I was like, okay, but I'm still overheating. So what I did, it's like a kind of like an old school thing. That's what they told me. So I had the stock thermostat in this thing. So they told me, like, look, the stock thermostat turns on like, or it opens up like at 180 degrees, or I get one for 160. I did that. I've never overheated since then. Never. Like, I've driven this thing like for like 30 minutes at like the slowest 80, but average was probably like 110. Not gonna say where, we'll just say Mexico. So I did that for like a while, and she was completely fine. Like, I do the test where, like, okay, if she's really hot, you turn her off, and if she won't turn on, she's fucking hot, she's cooking. I turned her off when I got to where I needed to get to. I turned her off, waited like a couple seconds, turned right on. So cooling, I'm good, but I don't have to worry about cooling ever again, unless I do more stuff, but we'll see about that. But as far now, I'm pretty sure that's everything. I think, like I said, so interior, fucking stock, like stock bench seat. I don't even know about bucket seats. Like, I'm thinking more racing seats, but even then, it's kind of hard to do because that bench seat, it's so comfortable. It's so fucking comfortable. Like, you could sit down on that thing for hours. You could lie down on that thing and fall asleep. It is as comfortable as a mattress. I don't know why. But yeah, so interior, Nothing done at all. Oh yeah, and then the biggest fucking glaring thing here is the fucking hood. So this hood is actually a 1972 hood, but because it usually has that big ass fucking trim in the front, it had like an extra lip. So when I would put the hood on, it wouldn't close because my grill was right here. So what I ended up doing was I ended up fucking cutting the whole shit off, and I was like, okay, so let's see how it fits. And yeah, sure enough, it opens and closes fine. And then the next obvious thing is the fucking. At first, I was calling them like ventilation holes because like, oh yeah, more air could go inside for, you know, the fucking radiator and the air filter. But after doing some ghetto fucking aerodynamics, it doesn't really work. So they're just lightning holes really. And then I have some holes right here in the back too. They're like kind of like heat vents. So like it's air's coming in, the hot air's coming out, and that I did test too. And it actually does work because after that hot ass drive I did, I put my hand here and it was pretty fucking warm. So I'm like, okay, that works, which is good. And the most obvious thing, the massive fucking air cleaner I got. I had to do it. Looks fucking cool. That's the only reason why I did it, because I thought it looked cool. So yeah, that is a 6-inch air cleaner. It's like thick. Like I like it. I think it looks fucking dope. But yeah, so I got hood pins. Yes, I know. I have to get the little cable ties for it. I just never did. I want to though, but just never did. And then even these, like this is held in with, I think like the standard like sheet metal screws, and then I have washers here because this little silver shit is like paper thin. So I put these washers here as well just to add some rigidity. And then making the holes for like this and that was a fucking pain in the ass. Like doing the hood, they don't tell you that your engine is actually offset a little bit. So I had measured everything out and I had it directly in the middle. When I cut the fucking hole out, no, it didn't work. So I had to kind of like adjust from there. Like I had like this big ass fucking, actually this same fucking thing that's holding the air filter right now, I had that there so I could see where I was at. I got tired of it, so I just cut a big fucking hole. I was like, where is it? Right there. We'll measure from there. And that's kind of how I got it. That's actually why there's like Sharpie on it. Because I was like, okay, maybe here. I just kept going. I was like, this isn't fucking efficient. I forgot how I did it, honestly. I think I might have just like grabbed this top, put it where that thing was, and I just kind of drew it right there, and then that's where I cut. And then I did a little bit more cutting when I had to get it to open and close without touching the fucking air filter. It wasn't too bad. But yeah, I still got to finish this though. And no, I'm not running the latch because it wouldn't line up for some reason. So I just never put it back. So I got to finish the job, cut that out. But I think that's everything so far that I've done. Yeah, I did I blacked out the grill. I blacked out the taillight panel. It's little cosmetic stuff here and there. But that's pretty much it, I think. Alrighty, sorry about that. Neighbors got kind of curious, so just kind of let them know what I was doing here. So, all good though. So yeah, quick summary of everything I did. So, the big stuff, engine, it's fully rebuilt, stock components because they don't make high performance stuff. So stock components, but I have a hotter intake, hotter cam. Excuse me. I have a better intake, a hotter cam, Holley carburetor. I did a couple things here and there, but it's not really worth mentioning. I poured and polished the heads myself. Don't know if I mentioned that, but just in case, there you go. I poured and polished the heads myself. What else did I do? Obviously, the fucking exhaust, headers, exhaust system, and then we're just going over big stuff. Then I did the rear end. It's a 383 gear. Don't know if I mentioned that too, so she picks up quick. Goes without saying. Wheels and tires. I did brakes, just the front, didn't do the rear. I'll do the rear later. The hood, again, big glaring fucking thing, the hood. painted the fucking grill, painted the taillight panel, and the suspension, obviously, because that was terrible before. But now it's better, as you can see. Pretty good. I think that's pretty good compared to before, where she would still be moving up and down. But yeah, so let's go. Let's take a look at my notes. So I get so here we go. One thing that I do notice on YouTube, which is one of the reasons I'm kind of doing this, I don't really see a lot of 73 Novas. I do see them, like I see them like a budget build, or oh, here's my done up fucking 73 Nova, which don't get me wrong, the budget guys, I'm cool with them. The done up guys, I'm cool with them too, but that's it. Like, it's either like cheap or the car's done. Never like, this is my baby. No, like, none of that. Like, cause this is my baby. Like, I love this fucking car. But you don't really see guys talking about that with these 73 Novas. Which, what's wrong with the 73 Nova? Like, it's still a Nova. Like, this is the way it was designed. You don't, like, I see the guys that are out there, changing the front end to a 72. It's like, well, what's wrong with this design? Like, it looks fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know. I feel like those guys they feel a little conscious because they couldn't get a 72. Whatever. But anyway, again, got the notes here because we're still working on it. It's all good. I guess the next point I would make would be like, I actually drive this car. Unlike some of those guys where they're trailer queens or like they're Sunday drivers, they take their cars out only on Sundays down the street to their local donut shop or whatever. And I don't know, like, I drive this fucking car. Like, I really drive this car. You could see like the evidence on it. Like, on the side there's like fucking exhaust fume, like black powder shit. I don't know what the fuck it's called. It's just like there's like the paint looks burnt from my exhaust. And then I have like fucking rubber on the fucking rear fenders. I actually drive this car. Like, when I'm not working, I'm driving this car. That's just how it is. A lot of these guys, they spend tens of thousands of dollars to do the whole car for what? To just look pretty and just drive it to down the street or some shit. Like nah, man. That's another thing too. Everything that I've done so far, I did myself, except machining. I can't do that. Not yet. But I did the hood, I did the engine, I did the rear end, and I'll say this, I had help, but for the most part, it was done here in-house. It wasn't taken to a shop where I shelled out all this fucking money to do it. No, I did this shit myself. Everything. And I take pride in that shit. Because a lot of those guys, I should say, those, rest of my guys, they'll look at my car and they're like, well, what do you got going on here? I'm like, it's a work in progress. Like, I'm still working on it, Like, yeah, of course, eventually I'm gonna get it sent out to do paint, but that's because I can't do paint myself. I would like to, but I don't think I'll do the best job, but I would still like to attempt. But just to play it safe, I'll probably send it out to get done. But other than that, you're not gonna see me, paying someone to throw in an engine that I paid someone else to put together. No, I am gonna put the engine together myself. I am gonna put the engine in myself. I'm gonna do that shit myself. All this shit I've done, not paid for. This is built, not bought. So there's that. And let's see, what else? What else we got here? But I think that's kind of it. So yeah, this is my baby, the Bladehenge Nova, my 73 with the 307, able to go 120 miles per hour with ease. I don't know how many guys with the 307 their car still, and that could do that shit too. Because usually you see those guys with a 307, they throw the shit out, put a 350 or 383 or definitely a LS. I've definitely seen that like a bunch of times, especially at those meets. A lot of those guys, LSs. You see a big block here and there, but not not like this. No, this is old school. This is old school hot rodding. I've rung what I've brung, and I'm running this 307. I'm running it. I'm not like you guys fucking. As soon as you get it, it's out. If you got an inline 6, you got an inline 4, that's a different thing. That's a way different thing. Because that's an inline 6, inline 4. Unless it's a 2J. If you got the car like that, the previous owner was fucking crazy. But alright, that's it.